There's a moment every gun owner remembers, that time they hesitated, thought, maybe I'll wait, and then watched the one they wanted vanish or double in price. And once it's gone, it never comes back the same. It's either more expensive, watered down, or just gone. Most people miss the window because they're busy chasing hype or waiting for some new release. But the shooters who end up with the stories to tell, they know exactly when to move. This isn't another top 10 flex or influencer roundup. It's a buy before regret list. Every gun here is on the edge, not hyped, not ignored, just at that perfect point where smart owners are quietly making moves. You'll never hear an alarm go off when the good stuff's about to disappear. It happens quietly, and by the time the crowd catches on, the regulars are already shooting, and everyone else is just shopping. If you want to be the one with the story, not the excuse, this is your list. Don't let it slip. Most people look right past the echelon, thinking it's just another next big thing. I nearly did too. It doesn't have the flash that gets a forum buzzing, but there's a small group, folks who already made the move quietly, who know it's the gun that actually stays. What sets the echelon apart isn't how it feels in a store. It's what happens after months of use. The grip stays honest, the trigger doesn't turn soft, and nothing about it tries to mimic another brand. It doesn't ask for attention. It just keeps working, week after week, session after session. The more you shoot, the less you think about it. And that's a good thing. Right now, early echelons are quietly thinning out. Dealers are shifting hard toward refreshed trims and newer variants. And those original batches, the ones with proven track records, never sit long once the mainstream finally catches on. Prices still look stable, but that's usually the calm before the bump. Once Springfield fully commits to contract runs and updated lines, these early production echelons won't be something you choose. They'll be something you hunt for. It's easy to think you've got time, but waiting on the echelon means missing the only version that got it right. Ever notice how some guns are everywhere, then all of a sudden you can't find them anywhere? The P365X Macro is that gun. There was a time you'd see stacks of them in the case, but after departments, trainers, and everyday carriers quietly settled on it, it just started vanishing. No hype, just quiet confirmation passing shooter to shooter. Full-size capacity, micro-profile, and no downside in carry. It's not every day you get 17+1 rounds in a gun that slips into a standard holster and feels like you're carrying less than you actually are. Guys who once insisted on full-size pistols quietly swapped them for X macros, and nobody's looking back. The thing about demand is it moves faster than any supply chain. The moment the crowd wakes up, shelves empty and prices start to creep. If this is on your radar, I wouldn't wait. Once word really catches on, you'll either be paying more or waiting for restocks. When the new year rolls around, after that rush of buyers and big industry shows, what's left isn't always what you wanted or what you could have paid a month earlier. If you wait on the X macro, you're not just risking a price jump. You're risking missing the carry gun that quietly changed what best means. And the next one, even less predictable. The Kanique Meat SFT was that cheap import I always ignored in the corner of the shop. Looked like a clearance tag hanging off a brand nobody talks about. I was sure it'd feel like junk. Honestly, I almost didn't even bother to pick it up. But there was this boring weekday where curiosity got the better of me. The grip felt serious. Real gun, not a toy. The price still bugged me. I wanted it to suck. Not because I needed another gun, because I wanted my bias to be right. 20 rounds later, I was just confused. The recoil was flatter than some of my so-called premium pistols. The trigger surprised me. In my head, I started comparing it to Glocks and Smiths. If it had a famous logo, nobody would question it. Guns like this don't stay under the radar. Not when they shoot like that and cost what they cost. Every spring, I watch these disappear faster than anything else on the shelf. I've seen how this ends, standing at the counter, realizing the number on the tag isn't the one you remember. Once it's discovered, it's not a deal anymore. You'll spot a Taurus G3C where you least expect it, tucked in the side pocket of an old duffel, buried under receipts and loose brass. It's not a gun people bring up in conversation. Years ago, it was the pistol everyone joked about. The good enough for now gun, always the extra, never the first choice. But look again after a few seasons. That same G3C hasn't moved. It's got scuffs across the slide, holster wear, maybe a scratch or two on the grip, but it's still the one they trust like The guys who gave it grief back then, they don't bring it up anymore, but I keep seeing the same pistols. Same owners, year after year. It doesn't sit on the table for show and nobody's snapping photos of it. You just notice it never seems to get sold. Never gets posted for trade. Never gets left behind. Other guns come and go. People upgrade, people switch, people get bored. This one stays. Funny thing, nobody ever brags about buying one, but I've never heard anyone say they let theirs go. The next one gets talked about. This one gets kept. I'll say this quietly because that's how it really happens. Shooters talk, not online, at matches, in league, in the parking lot after the buzzer. For years, the PDP Compact was background noise to me. Plastic gun, weird grip. Nothing I felt rushed to try. Then one league night, something felt off. Same people, same bays, different pistols. A couple weeks later, it wasn't just a few guys, it was almost everyone. No hype, no explanations. They just showed up with the same setup week after week, looking way too comfortable. I was still running my old favorite, telling myself I'd look into it later. That's always a lie, because by the time 2026 rolls around, you don't catch up, you realize you fell behind without noticing. I laughed it off at first, figured it was a phase. But the conversations changed, fewer options on the counter. Guys grabbing spares instead of selling. What bothered me wasn't missing a trend. I've done that before. It was realizing I ignored the only people who never lie, the ones who shoot every week and don't switch unless something actually works. By the time I finally ran one side by side, my old setup didn't disappear. It just didn't feel right anymore. And the next one, that's a different kind of pressure altogether. I still remember that booth last summer. Low crowd, no hype. Tucked between big names screaming new for 2025. Just a quiet table, a guy with a notepad, and a few Masada Slims laid out like they didn't need help. I walked past it twice before doubling back. No pitch, no influencer energy. Just picked it up and shot it. First round out of it, dead flat. No snap, no weird recoil impulse. Trigger felt cleaner than I expected. And for something that slim, it stayed planted. No twitch, no slide bite, no drama. It felt settled. Here's the part people miss. Guns like this don't explode overnight. They convert quietly. Someone carries it for a week, then two, then their old carry starts feeling bulky, rough, unnecessary. And once that switch happens, you don't go back. You just stop trusting what you used to carry. That's the window. Right now, it's still flying under the radar. Still easy to find. Still priced like nobody's noticed yet. By the time 2026 rolls around, this won't be the gun people debate. It'll be the one they already replaced everything else with. And when that happens, waiting doesn't save you money. It costs you certainty. And speaking of carry guns with a real edge, the next one's the reason I always keep a backup. I'm not gonna lie. I almost didn't include this one. Not because it's bad, but because you might not even be able to find it soon. The Beretta PX4 Storm's been flying under the radar for years, but now dealers are whispering, quietly, that Beretta's backing away from it. Inventory's thinning out. Some shops stopped restocking months ago. You won't hear an official discontinued stamp yet, but that's exactly how these things start. And it sucks because the PX4 isn't some throwaway pistol. That rotating barrel system, yeah, it's weird, but it softens recoil in a way you only get after actually shooting it. Most people never gave it a real shot. Now it's vanishing, and suddenly everyone's scrambling to find one. I checked 3 of my go-to sources before this video. None had it in stock. This might be your last chance to grab a truly unique 9mm that didn't beg for attention. Once the next generation rolls out, this one's gone, and no one's bringing it back. And the next gun? It's the one I almost sold last year. Now I'd fight to keep it. This one didn't crash onto the scene with big headlines. No flashy fanfare, no hype train. But that's the mistake, because the FN 509 Compact MRD is everything you'd want in a serious carry gun. If you're paying attention right now, you get duty-grade internals, flat shooting control, a trigger that's been tuned just right, and an optics-ready slide that actually makes sense. It's not budget tier, but for what this thing brings, it's dangerously close to being underpriced. Last quarter, more departments started picking it up under quiet procurement deals. That's when I realized this isn't going to stay on shelves long. FN isn't known for flooding the market, and once supply tightens, you'll start seeing $700 plus price tags, if you can find one at all. I ran mine side by side with a Glock 19, and it stayed flatter, gripped better, and felt more confident in hand. It's a sleeper gun, the kind most people skip until it's too late. And if you think that one's rare, the next one's almost extinct. The shooter's gun, they don't want you talking about. The VP9 doesn't advertise, doesn't shout, but the moment you shoot it, it burns in. It's not trying to impress on the shelf. It waits till you pull the trigger. The grip? Probably one of the most honest and natural fits you'll ever wrap your hand around. Not over-designed, just right. And if your hands aren't textbook medium, the backstraps actually do something for once. Trigger's not trying to be cute. It's deliberate, predictable, resets quick and snappy. A couple of weeks back, I brought mine to the range with Alice. She'd never even heard of it. 2 mags in, she stopped, looked at me and said, "Why doesn't anyone talk about this?" That's the VP9. HK doesn't crank out gimmicks or flashy variants every quarter. They release real guns, slowly. And that means supply's tight. You'll find them around $750 to $800, but availability's already getting weird depending on region. And that's exactly why it's here. Some of you already own one, but it's been sitting in the safe. Don't wait till these dry up again, because once you run it hot, you'll understand what the hype never explained. And if this one's the quiet killer, wait till you see what just dethroned the big boys in 2025. I don't care how mainstream it is, this pistol earned its spot. But here's the catch nobody's talking about. Glock is quietly pushing the Gen 5 into the rear view. Dealers are shifting attention to the V series. Gen 4s are already gone. Now, Gen 5s are slowly vanishing from the shelves too. One wholesaler straight up told me, "We're not getting more of those." And I get it. They want to evolve. New lines, new SKUs, cleaner catalogs. But Glock 19, Gen 5, that's the workhorse. The one everyone trusts. It's balanced, runs filthy, drops in almost every holster I own. I've carried it in 3 different states and 3 different roles, and I never once had to second guess it. Replacing that level of earned confidence with a newer V-Series rollout, that's a gamble I'm not taking right now. So if you still see a Gen 5 sitting in your local shop, don't overthink it. You might not get another shot, because in 2026, this won't just be a pistol, it'll be a damn collectible. Some pistols vanish quietly, and this next one might be gone before most even realize it. I was at the range out near the edge of town. Same dusty little spot the sheriff uses when he wants to be left alone. He had his old duty Glock on the bench, but next to it, a beat-up CZP-10C with tape on the grip and barely any finish left. I asked about it. He grunted, said, "That Glock's what they issued me. This is what I trust." Said it's been with him for 5 years, like one malfunction, and that was on some bad steel case stuff. Never cleaned it more than a wipe down, just runs. Thing is, we were talking a few weeks back and he said, "They're not making them like they used to. CZ's moving to that Shadow Compact line now. This one's done soon." I asked 2 local shops if they had one. Both just smiled and said, "Good luck. At this pace, next year you might not even spot a used one." I checked online later, he wasn't wrong. No big announcement, just stock vanishing, dealers clearing inventory like they know something's up. If you find one new in box next year, you're lucky, but don't wait too long. And if you think that's just one man's story, wait till you hear what happened when a cop accidentally holstered our next pistol instead of his issued one. A year ago, nobody blinked twice at the Ruger Max 9. It was a budget pocket gun. Nothing fancy, just functional. But now, try walking into a pawn shop and asking for one under $300. They'll laugh. Used prices are climbing, and here's the kicker. They're actually holding value better than some Glocks. A buddy of mine in Oklahoma swore he picked his up for $250 out the door last summer. He went back to grab one for his cousin last month. Gone. Shelves empty. Online listings higher than new MSRP. What's happening is simple. Folks are finally realizing this little gun runs. Clean trigger, optics ready, and snag-free carry. And Ruger's not flooding the market with more. If anything, it feels like they're pulling back. The longer you wait, the more it becomes one of those should-have grabbed it when pistols. And the next one? Well, it doesn't fit in your pocket, but it'll squeeze into your story if you're paying attention. You ever have a pistol that looks wrong on paper, then somehow just clicks? That's the CSXE, a single-action hammer-fired micro-pistol in a world full of striker polymer clones, aluminum frame, manual safety, compact grip. Everything about it says niche, and yet it works. There's a guy who runs the indoor range out in Lubbock. Older Marine type, carries the CSX every day. Says he's dumped more than 3,000 rounds through it in a year. No failure. 0 parts swaps. Swears by the aluminum frame, giving it just enough heft to tame the kick, without killing concealability. But here's the catch. Rumor says Smith isn't committed to a second run. Some distributors got weird stock numbers. No major marketing push. And if this becomes one of those guns that just disappears quietly. People will lose their minds trying to find it later. Quirky, dependable, and vanishing fast. Weird now, collectible later. And the next bonus? It's what the cops actually wanted for duty carry, but they never told you that. You'd never know it, but this pistol might be the most carried and least talked about 9mm in the country. A retired deputy I know once called it the gun that solves problems quietly. No flash, no headlines, just absolute reliability. What most folks don't realize is Smith is slowly shifting attention to newer lines. Metal frames, performance center tweaks, flashy variants. Meanwhile, this 2.0 compact is quietly slipping out of rotation. Distributors aren't hyping it, and the ones that still list it have oddball stock numbers. You won't hear it on podcasts, but ask a cop what he carries off duty. This comes up more than you think. I ran nearly 4,000 rounds through mine across 2 summers and 3 classes. No drama. That's the kind of track record that turns a sidearm into a lifeline. They're not screaming it from the rooftops, but this model's quietly being phased. And what replaces it? You might not trust it the same way. I saw a guy at the range last week pull out 3 different pistols from one hard case, except they were all the same base gun. Slide swaps, grip modules, triggers, just click, snap, and shoot. It was the P320 X Carry, and it made every Glock on the bench look primitive. But here's the quiet issue nobody's spelling out. SIG's moving on. Word is the V-Crown series and newer Spectre comp platforms are stealing the spotlight fast. And this classic modular X Carry already starting to vanish from most dealer listings. The deeper you look, the more you notice. Accessories drying up, frames out of stock, discontinued SKUs silently pulled. Most shooters never realized this version was the peak. The cleanest balance of modularity, price, and raw feel. Once it's gone, you'll be stuck with flashier, heavier, or pricier options. The original X Carry gave you a do-it-all platform. Now it's becoming legacy. If you've ever considered owning one pistol that can become 5, this is your last shot. Nobody celebrates the person who bought early. Regret doesn't show up until the price jumps, until the dealer's shelf is empty, or until your friend calls to brag about what you missed. That's why these picks matter. Not because they're trending, but because they just work, and they're still here. For now. If you've ever watched a pistol disappear just as you made up your mind, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Don't look for validation. Look for proof. Guns that survive, that earn their place through time and use, not hype. If you've been burned before, drop your story below. It might keep someone else from making the same mistake. I'm Steve. This is Guns N' Roses. Don't wait for permission. When everyone else is thinking, you should already be holding what lasts.